The war had ended, but silence in the galaxy was never safe. Ships floated in the empty dark like broken bones. The stars looked calm, but every soldier knew the truth. Peace was only a mask, and danger always waited behind it. He was just one man, a human soldier far from his home world. He had fought many battles and he had lost many friends. Still, he had survived. His name was whispered by both allies and enemies. Some called him lucky, others called him cursed. But in the end, he was still alive, and that was enough. One night, when the stars burned brighter than usual, he was called to a secret meeting. The message was strange. Not from humans, not from any government he knew. It carried the royal mark of the Vayari Empire, one of the most powerful alien races in the galaxy. The order was simple but heavy. Come at once, human. The Queen requests you. He arrived at the palace, hidden deep inside a crystal moon. The corridors were silent, the walls glowing with blue light. Guards watched him, their eyes cold, their hands on their weapons. No one trusted a human here, but the Queen had summoned him, so they allowed him to pass. When he entered the throne room, he expected to see power, beauty, and command. Instead, he saw weakness. The Queen was dying, her skin pale, her breath slow. Her crown looked heavy, not with gold, but with the weight of fear. She raised one hand, her fingers trembling. "Human," she whispered, her voice soft but strong. "I know you. I know your story. I know what your kind can do." He bowed, slightly unsure if this was respect or duty. "I am only a soldier," he said. "Why call me?" The Queen's eyes burned with strange fire. "You are more than a soldier," she said. "You are human, and humans are different." She coughed, and the guards stepped forward, but she waved them back. Her gaze never left him, as if she had no time for anyone else. "I have one last command," she whispered. "You must protect my daughter." The hall went silent. The guards shifted uncomfortably. The human froze, confused. Protect her daughter? Why him when she had armies, fleets, and warriors stronger than him? The Queen leaned closer. "She is my blood, she is my future, and she carries the hope of my people. If she falls, everything falls. But she cannot trust my kind, not anymore. Too many knives hide in the shadows of this palace. Only you, a human, can keep her safe." He shook his head, his voice low. "This makes no sense. Why me?" The Queen smiled weakly, as if she had waited for that question. "Because my enemies will never expect it. They do not understand you. They do not understand humans. And that is your greatest weapon." She closed her eyes for a moment, and her hand fell to the side. The guards moved closer, but she spoke again, this time louder, as if using the last of her strength. "You will find her, protect her, and guide her, but know this: if you fail, the galaxy will burn." The human felt a cold weight fall on his shoulders. He had carried missions before, dangerous, bloody, impossible missions, but this was different. This was not a war order, not a command from generals. This was the dying wish of a queen. He opened his mouth to answer, but the Queen's eyes locked onto his again. Then, with one final breath, she whispered something that made his blood run cold. "When the time comes, you must not only protect her, you must become part of her destiny." And then silence. The Queen's body fell still, her crown sliding from her head. The guards knelt in grief, their voices crying out in the alien tongue. But the human soldier stood frozen, her last words echoing in his mind: protect her daughter and become part of her destiny. He left the throne room, his mind spinning. The Queen's daughter, the princess of the Vayari Empire, was now his responsibility. He had never seen her, never spoken to her, but already his life was tied to hers. He did not know where she was or who wanted her dead, but he knew one thing. This mission was more than protection. It was a trap of fate, one he could not escape. And somewhere, in the shadows of the crystal moon, eyes were already watching him, waiting for his first move. The game had begun, and the human soldier was now the key piece on the board. The human soldier left the crystal moon with a heavy heart. The queen was gone, and her last command still echoed in his mind. "Protect my daughter," she had said. "Protect her and become part of her destiny." But where was the princess, and why would a dying queen trust him with her bloodline? Questions burned in his mind like fire, but answers were hidden in shadows. His ship cut through the darkness of space. He searched secret files given to him before the queen's death. Coordinates, strange codes, and one final message. It read only 5 words. "Find her before they do." Simple words, but they carried the weight of an empire. He landed on a small desert planet, a forgotten place at the edge of the stars. Rumors whispered that the princess had been sent there in secret, far from the throne, far from assassins, but secrets never stayed safe for long. And already, hunters were moving across the sand. The human walked through the dusty town at the planet's center. Aliens of many shapes watched him with suspicious eyes. He was human, and humans were rare here. Whispers followed him like shadows, but he ignored them. He had only one goal. In a small inn built from stone and steel, he finally found her. The princess was younger than he imagined. Her hair shimmered like silver fire under the twin suns. Her eyes held both fear and pride. She did not look like a warrior, yet danger surrounded her like a storm. When she saw him, her first reaction was not trust, but anger. "You should not be here," she said, her voice sharp. "No human belongs in this place." The soldier stayed calm. "Your mother sent me," he replied. "Her last words were about you." Her face changed, the anger fading into shock. "My mother is dead?" she whispered, her voice breaking. He gave a slow nod. "I was there in her final moment," he said. "She told me to protect you." The princess turned away, her hands shaking. "I knew this day would come," she whispered. "I knew the shadows would move after her death." The human stepped closer. "You are not safe here," he said. "Already, killers hunt for you." And as if the universe itself had been waiting for that moment, the walls of the inn shook with an explosion. Dust fell from the ceiling, screams filled the air. Assassins in black armor stormed inside, their weapons glowing red. The human soldier reacted first, pulling the princess behind him. "Stay low," he ordered. The assassins fired, but the human was fast. He rolled, grabbed a broken steel pipe, and struck the nearest one. His enemy was larger, stronger, but the human's speed and stubborn will turned weakness into strength. One by one, the assassins fell, their armor broken, their voices silenced, but the fight was not easy. The human took cuts across his arms, bruises on his ribs. Blood stained his shirt, but he never stopped moving. The princess watched in shock. Her people had always said humans were fragile, weak, unworthy of trust. But this man fought like fire itself, refusing to fall even when he should. When the last assassin hit the floor, silence returned to the inn. The princess stepped forward, her voice trembling. "You saved me," she said, almost as if she did not believe it herself. The soldier only nodded, breathing hard. "This was just the beginning," he said. "More will come, stronger than these." She looked into his eyes, searching for truth. Her people had betrayed her. Her palace was filled with traitors. But this human, who owed her nothing, had already bled for her. Something inside her began to shift. A small seed of trust, though fragile, was born. "Why?" she asked softly. "Why would you risk your life for me?" The soldier thought of the queen, her dying eyes, her final command. "I gave my word," he said simply, "and a human does not break his promise." The princess lowered her head, her voice almost a whisper. "My mother believed in humans," she said. "She said you could do what no other could." Her eyes lifted again, glowing with something new. Maybe she was right. The soldier stood, his wounds aching, his mind heavy with the weight of the mission. The assassins would not stop, more would come, and somewhere in the galaxy the true mastermind was waiting. He had to move, protect her, and uncover the truth. The fate of not just the princess, but maybe all of humanity, now rested in his hands. Outside the inn, the desert winds howled, carrying the smell of war. The stars above burned bright, as if watching. And in that moment, the human soldier knew one thing. This mission was no longer just about protection. It was about survival, destiny, and a secret even he was not ready to face. The desert planet was no longer safe. The human soldier knew it the moment the assassins fell. Blood on the floor, smoke in the air, eyes watching from the shadows. He had seen this pattern before. When enemies strike once, they never stop. They come again, stronger, hungrier, and more prepared. He led the princess through the back streets of the dusty town. Every corner felt like a trap. Every sound carried danger. The princess stayed close, her eyes sharp. But fear lived in her steps. She had grown up inside a palace of crystal. She had never known the dirt, the noise, or the smell of alien streets. Now she walked as prey, hunted across her own empire. The human had no map, but his instincts guided him. War had taught him many lessons. The first rule, never stay in one place. The second, trust no one. The third, every stranger can be an enemy in disguise. They entered a marketplace under the twin suns. The air was hot, filled with the cry of merchants and the smell of burning spice. The princess pulled her cloak tight, hiding her face, but it was no use. Whispers followed them. The hunters had spread word already. A bounty had been placed, and the price was high. The soldier caught the look in the crowd, eyes that stared too long, hands that reached for weapons. He pushed the princess forward. "Keep walking," he whispered. "Do not stop. Do not look back." But before they could escape, the sound of boots thundered behind them. Dozens of armored mercenaries filled the streets. The leader's voice echoed like iron. "Hand over the girl, human, and we will let you live." The crowd scattered, leaving only silence. The princess froze, her hand trembling. The soldier stepped forward, his face calm but his heart burning. "You will have to go through me first," he said. The fight came fast. Blades flashed, guns roared. The air shook with violence. The soldier fought with fury, moving faster than the mercenaries. Expected, he used the chaos of the market, flipping tables, shattering stalls. Every move was survival, not strength. Humans were not the strongest, not the fastest, but they were the most stubborn, and stubbornness was a weapon. The princess grabbed a staff from the ground and swung it at one attacker. Her strike was clumsy, but it slowed him long enough for the soldier to land a blow. For the first time she fought beside him. Fear still lived in her eyes, but something else was rising. Courage. By the time the sun began to set, the marketplace was a ruin. The mercenaries retreated, broken and bleeding. The soldier's body was marked with wounds, but he still stood. He pulled the princess to her feet, his voice firm. "They will not stop," he said. "More will come." The princess stared at him, her breath heavy. "Why do they want me dead?" she asked. The soldier met her eyes. "It is not just about you," he said. "It is about what you represent. Your mother said you are the hope of your people, but someone else believes you are the threat that will destroy them." They left the town and walked into the endless desert. The stars above burned like cold fire. The princess finally spoke again, her voice quiet. "My mother told me stories," she said. "Stories about humans. She said humans are dangerous not because of strength but because of spirit. She said humans adapt faster than any race, survive where others fall, and fight even when all hope is lost." The soldier said nothing. He had heard such words before, both as praise and as fear. To him, he was only a man carrying scars. But to the galaxy, humanity was something different, something unknown, something unpredictable. As the night grew colder, they found shelter in a ruined outpost. The soldier checked his weapon, his wounds, and the horizon. The princess sat near a broken wall, her voice softer now. "Do you believe in destiny?" she asked. The soldier shook his head slowly. "I believe in choices," he said, "and the price we pay for them." The princess looked at him for a long moment. Then she whispered, "My mother chose you. Silence stretched between them, heavy and unspoken. But the soldier knew one thing. He was not just fighting assassins, he was fighting an entire shadow network. Enemies were everywhere, in every corner of the galaxy. And their mission was clear. The human must die, and the princess must never live to see the throne. He tightened his grip on his weapon. The fire of battle still burned in his blood. He was only one man, but that had never stopped him before. The galaxy thought humans were weak, fragile, breakable. But soon, they would learn the truth. Humans were the last thing you should ever underestimate. The desert winds howled through the ruins of the old outpost. The human soldier did not sleep, his eyes scanning the darkness. He knew enemies would come again, they always did. The princess rested against a broken wall, her cloak wrapped tightly. She tried to hide her fear, but he could see it in her trembling hands. When dawn broke, the sound of engines filled the air. A fleet of raider ships landed near the outpost, kicking up sand like storm waves. Dozens of alien warriors stepped out, their armor sharp, their blades glowing with heat. These were not simple mercenaries. They were elite hunters, bred for war. The leader's voice boomed across the ruins. "Give us the girl, human, and we will make your death quick." The soldier stepped forward. Standing between the princess and the army, he had no army of his own, no fortress, no reinforcements, only his body, his mind, and his will. But that was enough. The battle began with fire raining from the sky. Explosions tore the sand apart. The ruins shook. The soldier moved with speed, rolling across the ground, dragging the princess to cover. The hunters advanced in perfect formation, disciplined, merciless. They were stronger, faster, armed with weapons of energy and steel. But the human was different. He did not fight with strength. He fought with creativity. He threw a broken piece of metal into the air. A hunter raised. His gun distracted for a split second. The soldier fired back, striking true. Another charged, taller and heavier than him. Instead of meeting strength with strength, the soldier ducked low, using the hunter's weight against him. The alien crashed into a wall, armor cracking. The princess watched in shock. She had seen warriors fight before, but never like this. The human did not follow the rules of battle. He made his own rules. He used the environment, the ruins, even the sand itself. Every movement looked desperate, yet every move had purpose. One hunter cornered him, blade raised high. The soldier had no weapon left, only his bare hands. He grabbed a handful of sand and threw it into the alien's eyes. The warrior stumbled, blind for a moment. That moment was enough. The soldier slammed his knee into the alien's chest and finished the fight. Blood dripped from his arm, his breath heavy. But he kept standing. The hunters circled him, snarling. One of them hissed, "You fight like an animal." The soldier spat dust from his mouth and smiled coldly. "No," he said. "I fight like a human." The princess felt her chest tighten. She understood now what her mother had meant. Humans were not powerful because of muscles or weapons. They were powerful because they refused to break. Even when outnumbered, even when outmatched, they adapted, survived, and kept fighting. The hunters attacked again, waves crashing against his single flame. And still, the soldier did not fall. His body screamed in pain, his cuts burned, his bones ached, but his spirit blazed brighter than any fire. Every time he should have fallen, he rose again. Every time they thought him finished, he found another way. Finally, the leader stepped forward, towering above them all. His blade was as long as the soldier's body. "You are only human," the leader growled. "You cannot win." The soldier tightened his grip on his broken weapon. "Maybe not," he said, "but I will not stop trying." The two clashed, steel against steel, fire against will. The ground cracked under their battle. The leader's strength was overwhelming, but the soldier never gave him what he expected. He feinted, dodged, twisted, using angles and tricks instead of brute force. In the end, it was not strength that won. It was patience. The soldier waited for one mistake, and when it came, he struck. The leader fell to the sand, defeated. Silence filled the battlefield. The remaining hunters looked at each other, uncertain. Their strongest had fallen to a single human. Fear spread through their ranks. and then, like smoke, they vanished into the desert, retreating. The princess stepped forward, her eyes wide with wonder. "You should not have survived that," she whispered. The soldier wiped blood from his mouth and shrugged. "Humans don't survive because we should," he said. "We survive because we must." For the first time, she smiled, though faintly. "My mother was right," she said. "Humans are dangerous not because of strength but because of heart." She looked at him with new eyes, not just as a protector, but as something more, a force that could change everything. The soldier looked at the horizon where the hunters had fled. He knew they would return stronger. He knew the galaxy was closing in on them. But he also knew something else. If the universe wanted to test humanity, then he would be the answer, because humans were not born to bow. They were born to endure, to fight, and to rise when no one else could. And now the galaxy would see that truth. The fire from the battle still burned in the ruins. The smell of smoke mixed with the cold desert wind. The human soldier sat against a broken wall, his body covered in wounds. The princess knelt beside him, her silver eyes watching him with worry. "You should not be alive," she whispered. But he only gave a faint smile. "Humans are hard to kill," he said. Night fell, and the stars lit the desert sky. The princess built a small fire, her hands trembling as she worked. The human watched her in silence, his mind heavy. The hunters had not been ordinary mercenaries. They had been chosen, trained, sent with one mission: kill the princess and kill him. That meant something larger was moving behind the shadows. Something he needed to understand. When the fire was strong, the princess finally spoke. "There is something I must tell you," she said, her voice quiet but firm. Her cloak slipped back, and her silver hair glowed in the firelight. "My mother kept many secrets, even from her own council." The human's eyes narrowed. "Secrets that got her killed?" he asked. The princess looked down at the flames, her voice soft. "Perhaps," she whispered. She lifted her gaze again, her eyes sharp. "Do you know why humans are feared in the galaxy?" she asked. The soldier raised an eyebrow. "Because we fight wars," he said. "Because we survive?" The princess shook her head slowly. "No, not only that." She leaned closer, her words almost a whisper. "My people tell old stories, stories that go back before the empire, before the stars were mapped. In those stories, humans were not weak or fragile. They were seen as something dangerous, something unpredictable." The human frowned. "Stories are just stories," he said. But the princess's eyes did not blink. "No," she whispered. "They are warnings." The soldier's chest tightened. "What kind of warnings?" he asked. The princess looked into the flames, her voice shaking. "They say humans were not meant to be part of this galaxy. They say your kind came from somewhere else beyond the stars we know. And because of that, you are different." The soldier laughed bitterly. "I am just a man," he said, "a soldier with scars and blood." But the princess shook her head again. "No," she said, "you are more. Humans can change faster than any race. You adapt, you learn, you turn weakness into strength. And that is why others fear you." Her voice grew sharper. "Do you think it is an accident that assassins hunt us? Do you think it is chance that my mother trusted you more than her own people? It is because she believed the prophecy." The word struck him like thunder. "Prophecy?" he asked, his voice cold. The princess nodded, her hands gripping tightly. "Yes, the prophecy of the unseen flame. It says when the empires fall into shadow, when the galaxy bleeds, a flame will rise from the fragile race. A flame no army can put out, a flame that will change everything." The soldier sat in silence, the firelight flickering across his tired face. He wanted to reject it, to laugh at it, but deep inside, he remembered every battle, every war. He remembered how humans always stood again, no matter how many times they were crushed. Maybe it was not prophecy. Maybe it was just survival. But to others, it looked like destiny. The princess leaned closer, her voice lowering. "My mother believed you were that flame. She believed protecting me was not only about saving her daughter, she believed it was about giving the flame its chance to burn. The soldier's jaw tightened. I never asked for prophecy, he muttered. I never asked to carry the weight of a galaxy. The princess's eyes softened. Neither did I, she said, yet here we are. For a moment, silence stretched between them. Only the fire crackled. Only the wind moved through the ruins. But then the soldier heard something else. A faint sound like footsteps in the sand. He rose quickly, his weapon ready. The princess stood too, her cloak falling back, her face pale. From the shadows a voice echoed, talking about prophecies. Again, little princess. Figures stepped into the firelight, cloaked and armed. Not mercenaries this time, not hunters, but assassins from the royal guard itself. The ones who should have protected her, now came to end her life. The soldier's grip tightened. His teeth clenched the prophecy, the queen's command, the enemies everywhere. It all made sense now. The threat was not just from the outside, it was inside the empire, inside her bloodline, inside the throne itself. The princess whispered, her voice shaking but steady. My mother was right, she said. We cannot trust anyone but you. The soldier stood tall, the fire burning behind him. Then let them come, he said. If they want to test humanity, I will show them what we are. And as the assassins closed in, the desert night grew sharper. The hidden truth had been revealed. The prophecy had begun to move, and the galaxy itself seemed to hold its breath, waiting for the human flame to rise. The desert outpost burned behind them. The human soldier and the princess ran under the ewe. Fading stars hunted from every direction. They had survived assassins, mercenaries, and hunters, but survival was growing thinner each night. Every planet, every city, every shadow seemed to hold an enemy. The Empire's throne had turned against its own blood, and the galaxy wanted them gone. After days of fleeing, the soldier found what he had been searching for, a fortress hidden in the mountains. Built long ago during the first wars of the Empire, it was broken, scarred, and empty. But it had strong walls and deep chambers, a place where they could make their stand, a place where they could choose to fight, not just run. Inside the fortress, the air was cold and heavy with dust. The princess touched the cracked walls, her voice low. This place feels forgotten, she whispered. The soldier nodded, checking the halls with his weapon raised. Forgotten places are the best places to survive, he said. But survival was not their gift tonight. Scouts reported their position within hours, and when the sun set, the enemy came. Not hunters this time, not mercenaries, but an army, rows of armored assassins, banners of shadow, machines of war rolling through the mountain pass, all for one, human, and one princess. The soldier stood on the fortress wall looking down at the endless force. His heart was steady, his body scarred. He had fought battles like this before, but never with the galaxy itself hanging in the balance. The princess stood beside him, her eyes bright with fear and fire. They will kill us, she whispered. The soldier gave a small smile. Maybe, he said, but we will make them bleed for every step. The battle began when the enemy stormed the gates. The soldier moved like lightning, setting traps with broken machines, using the fortress itself as a weapon. Explosions tore the mountain air. Enemies fell in waves. But more came, endless and merciless. The princess stood at his side, firing stolen weapons, striking down those who came too close. For the first time, she fought not as royalty, but as a warrior. Hours passed. The walls cracked. The gates broke. The enemy poured inside, filling the fortress like a flood of steel. The soldier fought harder, his body screaming with pain, but every strike, every shot, every desperate move carried the weight of something greater. Not just survival, but defiance. The galaxy thought humans were weak, but weakness was only a mask. Beneath it burned a strength no other race understood. The princess cried out as a blade cut across her arm. The soldier pulled her back, fury burning in his chest. He charged the attacker, striking with a rage that shook the hall. The assassin fell, and the soldier stood over him, his breath heavy. You will not touch her, he growled. The fortress shook again as the enemy brought machines to tear down the walls. The princess looked at him, her voice breaking. We cannot win this, she said. There are too many. The soldier placed his bloodied hand on her shoulder, his voice calm. Maybe we cannot win, he said. But we can show them what it means to fight. The assassins roared as they closed in from every side. The hall was filled with fire, smoke, and death. And still, the soldier stood, his body broken but unyielding. The princess fought at his side, her cloak torn, her crown forgotten. Together they looked less like prey and more like flames refusing to be put out. Then came the voice of the enemy commander echoing through the fortress. The human must not live, he shouted. Kill him, and the prophecy dies with him. The princess froze, her heart pounding. The prophecy was no longer a whisper, no longer a secret. It was the reason for everything, the reason her mother had trusted him, the reason the galaxy hunted him. The soldier stood taller, his weapon shaking in his hand. So that's it, he muttered. Not me, not her, but the prophecy. He looked at the princess, his eyes burning. They fear what we can become. She met his gaze, her voice strong despite the chaos. Then let them fear, she said. The battle raged into the night, the walls of the fortress falling stone by stone. Every strike the soldier made was slower, every breath heavier, but his spirit refused to surrender. He was only one man, but one man with human fire was enough to shake armies, and with every fallen enemy, the prophecy grew stronger. The flame could not be killed. When the dawn finally broke, the fortress was nearly gone. Bodies filled the halls. The air was heavy with smoke and blood. The soldier leaned against a broken pillar, his body weak. The princess stood beside him, her arm around his shoulders. They were still alive. Against all odds, against an army, against death itself, they had survived. The enemy commander watched from the shadows, his voice filled with rage. This is not the end, human, he said. The soldier raised his head, his eyes sharp despite the pain. No, he said. This is only the beginning. And as the sun rose over the broken fortress, the galaxy itself seemed to tremble, because in the ruins of war a flame still burned, a human flame that no army could put out. The fortress lay in ruins, walls broken, towers shattered, the air heavy with smoke and ash. The human soldier stood among the wreckage, his body torn by wounds, his eyes burning with fire. The princess stood beside him, her cloak shredded, her crown gone, but her spirit unbroken. Together they had survived the impossible, and the galaxy would not forget it. For days, silence filled the mountains. No new army came. No assassins dared to approach. The enemies had been beaten, but not destroyed. They were only waiting, watching, planning their next move. The soldier knew it. The princess knew it too. Yet for the first time there was space to breathe, space to speak, to face the truth that had been chasing them since her mother's death. One evening, as the sun set behind the jagged peaks, the princess stood on the highest wall of the fortress. She gazed across the desert, her silver eyes reflecting the light. The soldier joined her, his steps slow but steady. You should rest, he said, his voice tired. But she shook her head. There is something I must tell you, she whispered. The soldier waited, silent. The princess turned to him, her face serious, her words sharp as steel. My mother gave you one command, she said. Protect me. You have done that more than I ever thought possible. But there was more she did not tell you. The soldier's jaw tightened, his heart uneasy. What more? He asked. The princess took a breath, steady but heavy. She did not only ask you to protect me, she said. She asked you to join me. Her eyes locked with his, unblinking, unshaken. She wanted you to be more than a guardian. She wanted you to become my son-in-law. The words struck like thunder. The soldier froze, his mind spinning. He remembered the queen's final breath, her voice fading, her last command. Protect her daughter and become part of her destiny. At the time he had thought it was only a warning, a riddle, But now the truth stood before him, clear and undeniable. "You cannot be serious," he said at last, his voice rough. The princess did not flinch. "I am," she replied, "and it is not only my wish, it is my duty. Our people will not accept me as queen alone. They will say I am weak, that I needed protection, that I am not worthy. But if I stand with you, if I join with the one who fought armies for me, then no one will dare to challenge me." The soldier turned away, his fists tight. "I am no king," he said. "I am no prince. I am only a soldier." The princess stepped closer, her voice firm. "You are human," she said. "That is more than enough." He looked at her, his heart torn. He had lived through war, carried scars, seen death. He had never dreamed of thrones, crowns, or marriage. Yet fate had pulled him into a storm he could not escape. The prophecy, the assassins, the queen's last words, all of it pointed to this moment. "You want me to rule with you?" he asked. The princess nodded, her eyes shining. "Not rule," she said softly. "Fight, protect, endure. My mother believed humans are the flame that can unite the galaxy. She believed you are the proof." The soldier's chest grew heavy. He thought of Earth, of the faces he had lost, of the battles that had shaped him. He thought of the princess, standing beside him in every fight, bleeding, refusing to surrender. He thought of her trust, her courage, her unshaken faith. And he realized something. This was no longer only about duty. It was about choice. The silence between them stretched, filled only by the wind over the ruins. At last, the soldier spoke, his voice steady. "If I do this, if I stand by your side, there is no turning back." The princess's eyes glowed with fire. "There was never any turning back," she whispered. From the shadows of the mountains, unseen eyes watched. Enemies who had survived, leaders who had failed, traitors who still plotted. They would carry the news across the stars. The human had not only survived, he had been chosen. Chosen not just as protector, but as partner, as destiny. The soldier looked out at the horizon, his voice low. "Then let them come," he said. "If the galaxy fears humanity, let them fear us together." The princess stepped beside him, her hand resting on his arm. Her voice was steady, unshaken. "My mother ordered you to protect me," she said. "And now I order you to stay by my side forever." The suns dipped below the mountains, painting the sky in fire and shadow. And in that moment, the prophecy burned brighter than ever. The fragile race, the human flame, had found its place, and the galaxy would never be the same again.